For the past few years, Apple's been killing the computer game. Ever since they've released the M series chips that powers a bunch of their Macs and iPads, it feels like they've just had win after win, like bringing back more ports on the MacBook Pro, or making the Mac Mini seriously mini, or giving us the insanely powerful Mac Studio. And now, even the super budget MacBook Neo. There's 6 different Macs and a bunch of different chips to choose from. So let's break everything down, starting with these M series chips that powers everything. For years, Apple relied on Intel to power their computers. But then everything changed. Apple introduced their own chips, the M series chips, starting with the M1. And since then, they just keep leveling up. And now we're all the way up to the M5 generation. With the new chips like the M5, M5 Pro, and M5 Max, they're seriously so powerful. So here's how it actually works. The base chips like the M1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are really powerful. Honestly, for most people, those base chips are more than enough. Then you step up to the Pro chips, like the M5 Pro. That gives you more CPU cores, more GPU cores, and just better overall performance. And then the M5 Max chips, like the M5 Max. And this is where things start to get crazy. Huge graphics power, tons of memory bandwidth, and way more performance for heavy workloads. These are built for things like video editing and rendering. But then there's the Ultra chips. Apple basically takes 2 Max chips and fuses them together using what they call Ultra Fusion. So yeah, this is like the absolute top tier. But here's where it gets really confusing, because not every Mac gets upgraded at the same time. So you could have a Mac Studio with an older Ultra chip, while the MacBook Pro already has the newer M5 Max chip. But here's the important thing. In real life, the M5 Max is proving to be even faster than most of the Ultra chips. So don't just look at the name like Max and Ultra. You also have to look at the generation and the tier, because it's just really confusing. And just to make this even more confusing, almost every Mac and iPad even uses these M series chips. But Apple's gone a completely different direction with the MacBook Neo, which is the same chip used in the iPhone 16 Pros. Instead of using an M series chip, Apple's using the A18 Pro, which is found in the iPhone 16 Pros. And honestly, for the kind of person that Apple's trying to target with this MacBook, it makes a lot of sense. It starts at just $599, and for that price, you still get real MacBook with a 13-inch display, an aluminum body, and the full macOS experience. So to me, it seems like Apple's just taking the recycled 16 Pros and making them into a computer, which honestly is pretty cool. If all you really do is search the web, write papers, and answer emails, this would do great for you. But since it's so cheap, there are a few drawbacks. For one, the port setup is a little bit weird. You get 2 USB-C ports and a headphone jack, but one of those USB-C ports is a lot slower than the other. One of them is basically just for charging because it has USB 2 speeds, which is really slow compared to the other one. So if you want to connect faster storage or a monitor, you'll want to use the better port, the one closest to the display. Another compromise is the keyboard. It's not backlit, which means it's a lot less premium and also a lot harder to use in dark rooms. That might not sound like a huge deal at first, but it's one of those things that you kind of start to miss once you realize you don't have it. And then there's the memory. It only comes with 8 gigs of RAM. That's fine for lighter use, but a lot of people use a lot of tabs. So if you keep your tabs open, run a bunch of apps, or do more demanding tasks, you'll probably start to feel it sooner. So the MacBook Neo is not the Mac you buy for serious pro work, but for students, casual users, or people who just want to make the cheapest MacBook possible, and honestly, it's a solid option. For the exact same starting price though, you can get this little guy, the M4 Mac Mini. The Mac Mini starts at $599. And honestly, if you do not care about portability, this is probably the better deal for a lot of people. This means quite a bit more performance than the MacBook Neo. There is also an M4 Pro version of the Mac Mini, but that jumps all the way to $1399, which is an extra $800 over the base model. So yes, you basically could get 2 MacBook Minis with the M4 or 1 M4 Pro Mac Mini. The regular M4 Mac Mini is kind of amazing. It gives you a lot of power for a really low price. The only problem is it's only a computer. There's no screen or keyboard, so you're gonna have to go buy those separately. That's what makes it a little bit harder to recommend and why maybe the MacBook Neo could still be more of a better choice. On the front, you get 2 USB-C ports and a headphone jack. Then on the back, with the regular M4 Mac Mini, gives you 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports, HDMI, and Gigabyte Ethernet. If you're planning on just having your computer live on a desk, I'd honestly take this over a MacBook Neo. So really the only reason I would steer away from the Mac Mini is not because of the computer itself. It's a great computer. It's only the fact that there's no screen, you can't take it anywhere, and it's not very portable. A laptop's really simple. You buy it, you open it, you're ready to go. The Mac Mini is a great computer and it's a lot faster than the MacBook Neo, but you're gonna have to go out and either already own a display or buy a new one. For a lot of people, that extra step is definitely enough to just go with the MacBook Neo, even if the MacBook Neo is going to be a little bit slower. If you want more of a family computer, something that can sit in the kitchen, office, or living room and be shared by everyone, this is where the iMac starts to make a lot of sense. But instead of just getting the computer itself like the Mac Mini, here you also get the display built in and a keyboard and mouse. It uses that same M4 chip, so performance is still really solid. And it's not just any display either. It's a really nice 24-inch 4.5K Retina display. So right away, it already feels a lot simpler. This is what makes the iMac so easy to recommend to families or someone that just wants a reliable computer in the house. It also comes with color matched accessories, so everything will match and look really nice together. Now the base iMac starts at $1299. And that lower model does give you 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports. But for just $200 more, you bump up to the next level and you get some meaningful upgrades. You get a slightly stronger M4 configuration, 4 Thunderbolt 4 ports, and Gigabyte Ethernet, which is actually hidden in the power adapter, and it's really cool because then you only have one wire going up. So that $200 is not just a tiny spec bump. And that's really the appeal of the iMac. It feels like the computer you just want to buy when you don't want to have to think too hard about what to get and what not to get. You just get it and everything comes with it. Now, if you like the idea of a reliable computer that can do just about anything, but you want to be able to take it somewhere, that's when I'd start thinking about the MacBook Air. Apple recently updated the MacBook Air to have the M5 chip. Apple's current MacBook Air lineup comes in a 13 and a 15-inch size. And honestly, I think this MacBook makes a lot of sense for most people. I'd probably look at this as probably the cheapest Mac laptop you could buy, where you still feel confident that you'd be able to get anything done that you need. The MacBook Air can handle a lot more than people expect. It's thin, light, quiet because it has no fans. And now it's more than powerful enough for what most people are doing and ever gonna do. And it starts with 16 gigabytes of memory, which is double the amount that the Neo comes with. It's the one that's easy to recommend because it's not the most expensive and it does most things really well. And since it has that M5 chip, it's not just good enough, it's actually really fast. So yeah, for most people, this is probably the MacBook that makes the most sense. Now, if you're doing something like super heavy editing or graphic design, then you're gonna want something like the MacBook Pro. This is Apple's top laptop, which is even better for really fast storage, bigger desk setups, and more demanding accessories. It currently comes with the M5, M5 Pro, or M5 Max chip, depending on how much power you need. And this MacBook Pro basically has all the ports you'd need. It doesn't have any huge weaknesses, kind of like the MacBook Neo does. It also has Apple's beautiful Liquid Retina XDR display with ProMotion. Bright highlights, deep blacks, and just much more premium overall look. And it's the only Apple laptop with fans built inside. That helps keep those chips cooler, which really helps with performance. This is basically the no compromise Mac laptop. The only downside is it can get expensive really quick. But if you want absolute top tier desktop performance, that's where you'd start looking at the Mac Studio. Right now, this machine sits right above the MacBook Pro in the lineup. It's really similar to the Mac Mini, but just bigger, faster, and with even more ports. Right now, the Mac Studio comes in either the M4 Max or M3 Ultra chip. But I think here in the next few months, we're gonna get an upgrade and we might see the M5 Ultra. This is basically Apple's desktop for people who want serious power and don't care about portability at all. This is definitely not your casual family computer. It also has crazy amount of connectivity. You get 4 to 6 Thunderbolt 5 ports depending on the chip, along with 2 USB-A ports, HDMI, 10 GB Ethernet, an SD card slot, and a headphone jack. So unlike the cheaper Macs where you might need dongles or adapters, this thing has basically got everything built in, which is just wild and shows you how this is actually just super overbuilt for the average person. And if you go with this M3 Ultra version, it can support up to 8 6K displays. This is a really high-end desktop with some serious power. I'd absolutely love to have one of these maxed out. That's way more computer than I'd actually ever need. And honestly, I think that's true for most people. Me personally, I edit these videos sometimes, but I do not need anywhere near that much power. So I'd probably just get the new MacBook Air.